Oh, Canada, the ending made us sad. I mean, sorry things never seem to go your way when WWE comes to town. But at least the finish Elimination Chamber wasn't, the screwiest WWE have come up with. Oh, screwy. It's a twisty cap, twisty cap. There we go. Asuka wasn't clowning around when she beat out 5 other women to win the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Now she just needs to show Bianca Belair that she's no joker at WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar became Cock Lesnar, hitting bobbles in the Ladsleys and getting himself disqualified when WWE's 2 primest slabs of beef banged together. Everybody went to the Rapture as Edge and Beth Phoenix bested Judgment Day's Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. Well, everybody went except Damian Priest, who was waiting for the next match because he actually took part in the standout Men's Elimination Chamber match alongside Seth Rollins, Montez Ford, Bronson Reed, Johnny Gargano, and eventual winner and still US champion Austin Theory. Then there was just some shit with a ginger that was nothing to write home about. I'm just kidding. The show closed with one of the most electrifying moments in recent wrestling history as hometown hero Sami Zayn got an ovation that sounded like all the loose were loose in the hoose, even as he came up short against the dangerously paranoid Roman Reigns. So, with the chamber locked away for another year, it's time to go over what happened, what might have happened but didn't, and what it means for the immediate future of WWE as we say, go home show, you're done. But basically, we've collected all the news stories going into the pay-per-view, we've done a bit of a review, and then we collected all the ones for the week or so after it, including the post-event Raw and SmackDown and the Wrestling Observer newsletter, like, into one video for you to watch. It doesn't sound as snappy as go home show, you're done, but you know, some of you were just not getting it. And that's either through me not having explained it well or sort of a willful ignorance on your part. We can never really know for sure either way which one it is, but I've certainly got my theories. Oh, titles. So WWE Elimination Chamber was in an interesting position this year. Firstly, it followed on from a Royal Rumble that felt like Triple H was showing us that he was a good dad. We went to the park, we went on the swings, but it was one of those ones with the really high seat bits around it. There was no chance of falling out whatsoever, and therefore, it was marginally less thrilling. He's saying, you can trust me with the kids. They'll have no fun, but they also won't bump their heads, and I definitely won't bring home the wrong kid. I mean, under Vince, it definitely had that sort of energy. He's very lucky Shane and Stephanie look exactly like him. Fightful Selected said the backstage sources told them that the Rumble was the easiest in a long time, with way less last-minute changes, with one source even describing it as a dream. Whereas in comparison, last year's fiasco was a fever dream, which kind of explains why Shane McMahon was sweating so much. So yeah, this year, competent, but definitely missing the sort of fucking hell. So many of these decisions were made last minute energy of all the other previous years. Do I sound like I now don't know what I want from my wrestling? I do talk about wrestling on the internet, of course I don't know what I want. But aside from being another chance for Triple H to stoically put over his favourites, the Chamber had a secondary condition heading in, that of Sami Zayn and the Bloodline setting pulses racing across the wrestling world and us palpitating at the prospect of Zayn being the one to dethrone the Tribal Chief. Though there was a definite conflict of head and heart, because in here, I wanted Zayn to win, but in here, I knew that he simply wasn't going to. And in here, I'd like some pancakes. Why did I drink that? That's not even part of the video. It's just delicious. The show opened with the Women's Elimination Chamber match, which saw Liv Morgan, Natalya, Raquel Rodriguez, Nikki Cross, and Carmella be about as ready for Asuka as a whale is for the 100 meters. And despite Asuka waltzing to a win like a whale with legs in a whale-only 100 meters, the match managed to give everyone else their moment in the spotlight. Nikki got to be crazy, jumping off the cage. Raquel got to be strong, taking 2 women to take her down. Liv got to be gutsy, passing out in 2 submissions. Carmella got to be annoying, winding everyone up and almost stealing the match. And Natty, she got to be Canadian in Canada. Look guys, a sharpshooter. You know that move. You like that move. Maple syrup. But the Women's Chamber hadn't been the only match pitched for the division at the show, because ahead of the show there was talk of Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus and Lita taking on Damage Control, but that was alt-deleted from the card. Initially they thought this plan was changed after Dakota Kai's injury and thought to be delayed till WrestleMania, but then Trish was reportedly pulled from the post-pay-per-view Raw despite being in attendance. Now, Trish had been listed internally as appearing, but Fightful Select said that a creative change came through at the last minute. One new theorem said that Stratus was planned to turn heel and team with Bayley against Lynch and Lita instead, so she was pulled from the show because WWE didn't think that the fans would boo her in Ottawa. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been Stratusfactory. After two previous clashes of WWE Titans Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, the Fed decided to draw the epic feud to a thrilling conclusion at Elimination Chamber. By which I mean, like Sisyphus, they just sort of let the rock roll all the way back down the hill so we could start all over again, opting instead to have Brock kick Bobbles in the stones to escape a hurt lock. Brock then decided to take all of this out on an innocent referee who was only doing his job, because who even trusts experts these days? And you're probably thinking, a classic WWE finish when they needed to just buy a little bit more time so the real match between the two can happen at WrestleMania. And that's exactly what they were doing here, because the real match is Lesnar versus Omos. Because it was announced on Raw that Lesnar would actually be facing Omos at WrestleMania 39, and the Wrestling Observer reported that the plans for the Beast at the Showcase of the Immortals had changed in the last week or two. It was then reported from a variety of sources, including WrestleVotes on Twitter, that one specific powerful person had the idea for Lesnar Omos and had pushed it through. Imagine this shadowy figure, shrouded in darkness behind a desk, reaching over and writing the name Omos in fresh blood on the back of a check for $1 million while braying in a sort of low howl. He's so big though. I wonder who it could be. After having already wowed the Canadian crowd with one whole sharpshooter, WWE decided to give them more of what they wanted, before of course going on to smash their dreams to pieces against the corner of a table, by having Edge and Beth Phoenix go over against Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. This was another excellent entry. Push these. Oh no, I've broken them. Oh well. Well, I've broken these now, so sorry. This was another excellent entry in the ongoing saga between Edge and his former disciples, who, lest we forget, abandoned him for Finn Balor even after he took them all to Camden Market to buy all those belts and purple pleather. So while all isn't well in the torture garden of Eden, it has made for some great TV and excellent moments as we reach what must be the twilight of Edge's career, by which I mean not that he's going back to being a vampire, but the fact that he keeps threatening to retire. In Canada. They were just in Canada. The Rated R superstar has previously said that he would like to have his last match in Toronto when WWE visits this year, but post-show at Elimination Chamber, he was singing a slightly different tune. He said, "I try not to make any firm decisions, but here's what I can say about tonight. I'm just ecstatic. I'm not really thinking about what I'm having for breakfast tomorrow, probably blood, let alone what I'm gonna do 5, 6, 7, 8 months from now. I will say, I would like it to be in Canada." But I mean, he does need to be thinking at least 1 month ahead, because he's booked in for another showdown with Finn Balor at Mania. And according to WRKD Wrestling, this could see the Demon resurface after going into embarrassment-based hibernation after falling off the top rope against Roman Reigns in September 2021. Now, according to Fightful Select, there's a bit of argy-bargy going on about whether the Demon is an appropriate fit for this feud and this current iteration of Finn, though there is a belief that it'll bring a bit of buzz to the match. And also, the faction's called Judgment Day, babes. Demons are going to work the earth during the apocalypse. I'm getting tired of people not remembering their Bible studies. Tony the Snowman was a jolly happy soul, with a con man's eyes, a big checkbook, and some white stuff up his nose. At least according to Ariel Helwani, who got into a Twitter spat with Tony Khan over Elimination Chamber weekend. Helwani had appeared on SmackDown the night before Chamber, prompting TK to call him a fraud, and as legitimate a reporter as Tony Schiavone over Twitter, essentially saying that Helwani was a character in WWE's production. Helwani clapped back at Tony, calling him a snowman, both a fraudster and suggesting that he likes to put something a little bit stronger than Sudafed up his nostrils. I'm not saying that TK's like Scarface here, but his attitude to signing has basically been, "Say hello to my little friend. It's Miro. Samoa Joe." Michael Cole even got in on this action during the pay-per-view, referring to Ariel as an unbiased journalist when he appeared on screen, adding that he asks the hard questions whether you want to answer them or not. A clear jab at Tony Khan's own evasive interview with Helwani. I mean, things getting frosty between one of WWE's favoured journalists and the head of their biggest rival is certainly unsurprising. But TK, you need to chill out, Snowman. You're rich, mate. It doesn't f***ing matter. The men's Elimination Chamber match was another chance for Triple H to quietly continue building up some choice stars. Now, he did this, right, using a very clever strategy of having them all do some good wrestling. It's the kind of genius out-of-the-box thinking we were all expecting from Trips when he took over, to be honest. The match saw Seth Rollins, Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, Bronson Reed, and Austin Theory all get some serious time in the spotlight. But it was Montez Ford who essentially got a solo cup soliloquy, putting on the kind of star-making performance that probably had Angelo Dawkins sweating in the back. What's interesting though about all of this is that ahead of the event, there were rumours that Papa H was underwhelmed by several of the talents that he had rehired to WWE. What's that? What's that? Bullshit. Oh. WrestleVotes tweeted to say, I'm told a handful of talent brought back in the rehiring wave over the summer have underperformed and severely underwhelmed Triple H and others since returning to the company. This whole theory was nixed by Fightful Select though, who said a source told them that it was definitely not a thing they would expect Levesque to say out loud, even if he did believe it, and that no one brought back ever expected to ascend to the top. People were brought back to add depth to the roster, and width if we're looking at Bronson Reed. And it's a strong booking of both Gargano and Reed in this match that certainly gives you an insight into Trips' tactics of quietly building up a load of people at the very same time. It makes a change from the old days of the booking, which was like, oh, he's really big, have him kill everyone. Now, second question, why does everyone else look shit? It's an issue they've had with Roman Reigns, whose reign as the big dog has made everyone else look like the runts of the litter, but that did not stop the Montreal crowd from believing that Sami Zayn could pull off a miracle and finally topple the tribal chief. This was wrestling at its finest, supercharged with raw emotion as Zayn was beaten down and broken in front of his family and extended family of thousands in the arena, refusing to give up even when Roman hit him with his best shots, only to start a perfectly pitched comeback, only to get screwed by WWE referees having the constitution of a Victorian debutante having seen an ankle. I've come over all faint. While the Schmozzfest finished left fans literally mouthing, "What the fuck?" down the camera lens, it was undeniably an absolute barnstormer of a main event that proved that Sami has ascended to that very next level of being over. And while it was certainly a big brave choice by WWE, who decided not to stray from their plan of Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at Mania to go with the brand new hotness, Sami's rising star is definitely a Canuck among the pigeons for WWE's booking and something they need to be super delicate in dealing with. Dave Meltzer noted that for the post-pay-per-view Raw, WWE were very concerned about Sami chants during Cody Rhodes' appearance, which is why Paul Heyman interrupted Cody so quickly, and they are generally fearful that Sami chants could hurt Rhodes' momentum heading into the show of shows. Sounds like a good place to be in, just really hoping that the crowd don't decide to just eat Cody alive. And I mean, it's a concern shared by WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley, who said that fans might subconsciously take out their Sami rage on Cody, which is at least better than their completely unconscious reactions to some of his AEW storylines. Guys, are you awake? Guys. He's on fire. But what of young Samuel Zayn? Well, WRKD Wrestling claims that he will team with Kevin Owens in order to take on the Usos as the main event of the first night of WrestleMania, which has long been rumoured to be the plan. There was even talk from Wrestling Observer that the original main event for Elimination Chamber was to be Zayn versus Jey Uso in order to set up the tag match, but because Zayn was a proven numbers mover, he got bumped up to the big dog. And so the story moves on, and hopefully we'll have a satisfying conclusion at the Showcase of the Immortals, though there is something hanging over this storyline. A notoriously bad booker hovering overhead, like the sword of Damocles. Because Meltzer has noted that Vince does have input into this one. He definitely does. Oh, Ruh-roh, spaghetti rose. Though there are, of course, conflicting reports about Vince muscling his way back into creative, with Fightful saying that they had heard from talent that Vince was definitely back working WWE creative, but sources they spoke to who would be in a position to know said that talent's fears were unfounded. Yes, nothing to worry about. Vince isn't back. Vince isn't back. Put your mind at rest. Put your mind at rest. What's that over there? Bang! Problem solved. But hopefully Vince will just be happy that he's getting Brockzilla versus Omosthra, because Elimination Chamber not only managed to continue some great feuds, it managed to reposition some popular stars while building up new ones, even in losses, and it gave us a response that is likely to go down in history as one of the all-time greats. All I'm saying is, in true Canadian style, I'm giving it an A+. An A+. I'll give it an A+. I've drunk a lot of this.